Hello and welcome back to Alpha Tauri. We're here for round 10 in Austria, the Red Bull Ring, and I do need to start off actually with an apology to Alexander Albon. I did forget to mark his anniversary in his anniversary week, so that was last week. The worst part of that is I did actually say it was coming up and then forgot to actually mention it when it happened. But anyway, this is our situation. Why is my car suddenly so much worse than it was 10 days ago compared to the rest of the field? We were literally second, fourth, second. Also, more importantly, why is Alex's car a quarter of a kilometre an hour faster? They've got all the same parts, apart from the new suspension, which is barely negligible anyway, for some reason. I don't know what happened with that, which doesn't affect top speed. Yuki's still got an old something that's not... He's not got the new side pods. There we are. But that's only 0.007. He hasn't got the other floor either, for some reason. There we go. That's got him back to where that should be. Someone actually mentioned this on the Discord forums for this, that their car was randomly so much worse on race day than it was literally the day before. I wonder if this is either A, just a checkpoint for AI development, or B, a bug. Thought I'd just highlight it because it baffled me there. So yes, we should be excited for this race because we've brought upgrades that actually matter, the suspension notwithstanding for whatever reason, but the other two parts you saw there, a quarter of a kilometre an hour's worth of top speed boost. So, and it is a regular weekend at Austria this year, so I will see you directly for qualifying after 3 rounds of practice. No issues, of course. Alex has got one more new car part than Yuki for this week, so his knowledge is a tad lower, but simultaneously his bars are a little lower, so he ends up probably starting roughly the same stage. It's also raining all weekend. Heavy rain on Friday, light rain today and Sunday, which means it's going to be that irritating, oh, when do we go on inters, rather than just, it's raining, it's inters. In fact, it's starting on inters. Is it going to dry up? It's going to dry up a little bit. I might hold off on our run actually then. Now's a decent moment to do them on automatic because the Aston Martins are just coming out and they will be faster than us, so we're not going to have any issues on that front. Verstappen's coming through, but obviously we're doing 2, so a little bit more traffic second time round, I think. 10 and 12? 12 and 14. I think it's marginally getting wetter again after this point, so I don't know if anyone's actually going to go faster, unless they've had a huge problem. Verstappen's only 12th. Verstappen's now 6th. I mean, I've sent them out again just because they're in mild peril, but the track is about a quarter of a millimetre wetter than it was when we did our fastest laps anyway, so I'm not really expecting it here. And Alex is fighting a McLaren for some reason, which actually does get out of the way immediately, but yeah, they're not going faster, so I don't think anyone is at this point, apart from people who obviously have major problems like Verstappen. I wouldn't be surprised if Leclerc did, but everyone's within, like, because it's such a short lap, Leclerc's only 3/10 off the lead anyway. Yeah, slow middle section as well. I don't think it made a difference. Ooh, okay, that's an interestingly direct, consistent line, and then nothing. I mean, get him out for bankers immediately. Why not? At the very least, we can sort of cheese the confidence a little bit. I'm not really expecting Q3. My true concern here is the McLaren seem to improve dramatically, much like they did in real life around this stage. Not quite as dramatically, seemingly, here. Alex is towing a McLaren again and ruining their actual flying lap in the process, which could be helpful. We'll go on board with Yuki, though. He's kind of watching that from a far distance. Zhou Guanyu ahead, is it? No, it's an Alpine that has done their lap because they are both 3rd and 4th now, having done representative times. It's moved out of the way quite nicely, as now the McLaren does the same, eventually. I wish they just slow down as well. Like in qualifying, they need to slow down more. I understand in a race, they kind of need to maintain a certain speed, but in qualifying, I think they need to sort of lower their speeds as well as moving over, and that would probably solve the qualifying issue of people in the way. I mean, there's no real point showing the sector times because, of course, they will be going faster because it's not wet. I mean, I don't think anyone's messed up. It was Piastri we held up, judging by his time. Sorry, Oscar. I mean, I suspect we're still only going to be marginally... Oh, we're actually ahead of Ocon. 9th for Albon. Tsunoda 10th. Ocon out, Piastri out, Tsunoda out. Sainz is in the bottom 5. He's put Albon out. And Zhou Guanyu 14th. So 11th and 12th. The annoying position, really. Because we won't get the Q3 tyres, but we still got 2 fresh sets of softs anyway. Because we've only used 1. It's annoying. We've put improvements on the car and we're technically further down the grid. Although we started last time 14-15, so I think actually that is technically an improvement, I suppose. Okay, so qualifying 3 was wild at the end. It was dry as well, which means people have used more dry tyres. I suspect they would have used two sets of fresh ones because they would have had 3 available to them. But Carlos from Lewis from Lance from Fernando. The 1, 2, 3 in the Drivers' Championship are 5, 6, 7 for the race with a penalty to Perez. for whatever reason. Hulkenberg's got one as well. Hulkenberg's penalty is a layover from the last race, isn't it? If I remember rightly. Doesn't affect us at all, of course, but Perez, I don't know. Leclerc was out of one practice session, so I don't know if that was what Perez was. All strategies, oh, well, there's one stop in the middle, but yeah, no. I don't really know why we deviate from this. Oh, there's rain. Sorry, there's rain in the race, isn't there? Okay. Ha. Actually, a soft first isn't going to work, is it? Do you know what I've just realised is the true marker of when it's going to get properly wet? Rubber levels. Because even though this starts to get wet here, it starts to go down about 6 laps later. Now, that's obviously still not damp. Damp's going to be around here where the kind of crossover point is, I think. Like, it's truly washed off by this point here. I think realistically, you're going to need something around this lap. Maybe sort of there-ish at the... We'll say lap 40 at the latest, really. Then obviously a soft for the very, very, very end. Probably around there at the latest. Even a medium doesn't get you to there. One tyre to the rain. The hard basically just gives us that space. Because if it starts to look like it's going to be wet enough, say there, it just means we can push the tyres a little earlier. Because you can't really push them. And other people might two-stop before the rain. Actually, that's a valid question. Oh no, we've only got 2 sets of fresh softs, haven't we? Now factoring in the rain there and looking at the potential of a two soft run, it is 2 seconds slower, but of course, I think if you sort of went harder on them, then you gain more time than you would by going harder on the hard. So, but at the same time, if the rain comes in earlier, then you're kind of wasting that extra soft tyre a little bit more, and you're less likely to recoup the pit stop loss. So I think being on the hard is the right choice. The rain itself will easily get us 1 lap's worth back, so I'm going to take 2 laps out. Could realistically probably take 3. And one thing to note here as well, Sergio Perez's penalty isn't for an incident. He is clearly severe enough to go behind both of our drivers. I can see Hamilton is on a hard as well there. We've made the right choice, as is Fernando.
It's the race we've all been waiting for. It's the Austrian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
I didn't actually realise it initially, but Carlos Sainz is on hards as well. It's just because they've got those yellow tyre things in the way. I just realised I didn't actually disappear for the intro there. Apologies. But everyone's off cleanly. Anyway, well, I say that. There's a yellow flag. Is that for an accident? Someone's locked up. Carlos Sainz locked up. So from the lead of the race, Carlos just goes straight on. That's why I didn't see him, because he was off the side of the camera. So it wasn't an incident. No one got hurt. But Carlos is now at the back, having started first. Stroll is leading the Grand Prix. Verstappen is second, having started 6th. That's a curious... Oh, no, he started 5th. He qualified 6th. Promoted 1 place by Perez, who may not have been at the very, very back, because he's up to 14th already. I'm suspecting 10th place penalty, down to 15th. But still, Verstappen's got 3 people on lap 1. Norris has done well on lap 1 as well, actually, looking at it. Alex got Ocon, and I didn't see the message. The ones that fascinate me is Bottas on a soft and everyone else on a medium. Because I wonder what they're doing. A soft feels more sensible than a medium, because 2 softs is invariably going to be a better strategy than doing 1 medium and just praying, or an extra stop involving a medium. Whereas 2 softs obviously is going to be faster. Tyres getting smidge warm now, as Alex takes an inopportune angle on Pierre Gasly. A better one that time, as he slips up the inside and fails to make the overtake work. As Max Verstappen does the fastest lap and is now in the lead from 5th. Alex makes that one a little bit cleaner, but Pierre can come straight back at him. And now we've got to be a little bit more careful. Yeah, fortunately, we've been dropped by the actually fast cars and Norris, apparently, as Perez is coming through. I don't remember the replay for the other way around, but it doesn't actually look like Pierre was going to make a move until the very last moment. Caught Alex out a little bit, I think. Meanwhile, Perez behind is taking Yuki in that same shot. But if we can just sort of hang with these guys, that'll be superb, really. I'm not really looking... Again, looks like we're kind of really just aiming at 9th, because Perez is obviously going to come through and take a top 8 spot. It's all going to be relying on the wet interchange again. We don't want to be going too early, especially on a short lap like this. Ooh, Perez got caught out there. And Piastri doesn't seem to sock in this race either. He's 13th. Well, I say Perez got caught out, but I think Perez getting caught out got Tsunoda more than it did Perez. Because Tsunoda fell out of DRS range as a result of Perez having a go and getting very much clipped and forced to back off. Of course, Bottas is on softs, don't forget, as well. Is Piastri on a medium? He is, as is Ocon, and Perez for that matter. Also explains... Actually, no, it doesn't explain Norris at all. I was about to say it explains Norris, but it doesn't, because he's the one leading that train and actually, for the most part, fending off Leclerc. As the chain reaction happened, he's down to medium confidence. potentially. If you can just sort of stick behind someone, that would be great. Gasly's 11th, and now Ocon's the one ahead of Albon, which I suppose is fair enough because Ocon's the one on mediums, Gasly's the one on hards, but I don't really know what happened because I never got the replay for Ocon taking Albon. Perez is obviously less surprising, and Tsunoda's got Bottas back behind. Might as well watch it. This is hard on soft. Tad embarrassing for Bottas, that. It's one of the rare races where I actually remembered the sponsorship bonus thing you can put in for gaining places. It's the one race where I really wasn't confident we'd get more places, frankly. So Alex is 10th, but Tsunoda has gone backwards, as I kind of feared he might. And I'm actually having to keep off curbs every now and then just to keep the tyres warm, really. We are tracking ahead of everyone else on a hard tyre, but we are tracking probably marginally behind the overall prediction. Perez's fastest lap in clean air. Somewhat unsurprising, really. But Gasly has fallen off Ocon and Albon, and now Tsunoda's in the Piastri-Gasly trio. Or I say trio. That train actually goes all the way down to Zhou Guanyu in 16th now. And Sainz has only taken Ricciardo, surprisingly, so far. Considering he only locked up, that is a little weird that he's not made more progress from this point. He's 13 laps in and he's gained 1 place, as Bottas opts to pit on lap 13. All right, a tad early. In a weird way, it could work because it means he's not in a train. A soft tyre can do 20 laps, but he is kind of banky on the rain coming around lap 33 at the earliest now. The soft tyre, I think, is good for effectively 24 at a regular push, so he'll just about make the rain. And with 15 seconds of free air, it might be beneficial, considering he was in a sea of drivers that are on slower compounds. The DRS effect isn't really that helpful. Maybe. We'll find out, really, as Ocon gets Albon back again. That's just back and forth, isn't it? De Vries has cut off the train. The Sainz isn't closing on Magnussen, for whatever reason. Stroll is holding on to Verstappen at the front. Are they both on medium? No. Well, that makes it even more confusing that Alonso is incapable. Apparently the rain is predicted... Oh, the rain is coming way earlier. Oh, no. The rain isn't coming way earlier, because we've effectively put in the marker point for where we think the crossover might be. I do think the proper crossover of sort of, you know, that point, just over 0.8 mark is somewhere between 35 and 40, but my eyes aren't good enough without a vertical scale to guess that properly. I think it's somewhere in this, probably there, really. Probably 36 is what we're aiming at, truly, for the... Up to that point, it's probably still faster on dries. So whilst they're telling us rain is coming shortly, which isn't a lie, it's coming probably around lap 18, 19, the very first drops. It's not going to be worthwhile for another 20 laps, probably. So there is that. Gasly's fallen off Piastri. It's kind of crucial that someone overtakes Gasly, i.e. Tsunoda, and closes that gap again. And we'll watch that overtake. Piastri's turned the mediums on a bit there, I think, to clear Gasly. Mind you, I suppose a McLaren on mediums probably would be faster than an Alpine on softs, hards. Piastri's pitted off those mediums. I mean, if you're going on a medium, you stick it out. You don't put an extra stop in on those mediums. Well, that's somewhat ruins the plan with Tsunoda because now there's a 5-second gap to Ocon. At the very least, we were slightly tracking ahead of the overall prediction point. Here comes the rain. I mean, thank God our driver's adaptability. Is pretty strong. I'm doing terribly remembering to come back after replays, but crazy that Piastri pitted. How's Tsunoda's confidence now? Very high again. Okay, that's good. We've got that back as probably not now. Oh, no, it's still very high after Gasly overtaken him. I was looking at the wrong pairing, but Hulkenberg's joined that party for some reason, somehow. He's on hards. The medium runners seem to be committed to pitting, which I don't understand. He's doing medium soft. Bottas has done soft medium, so actually he hasn't gone soft. So that's their plan. Anyone that's on a medium or a soft is doing medium soft in some order, which is fair enough. A soft would have done it. If you're in the top 10, they may not have had 2 fresh softs though. Anyone down here though, no excuse really, not doing soft. I don't think... Oh no, Piastri just pitted a couple laps ago, isn't he? I was about to say he's pitted onto not fresh softs. So if all the medium runners are possibly going onto softs, does that give us the chance of 8th? I know Perez probably is fast enough to reclaim that time anyway, but it'll give us the chance of 9th for sure, because I don't see Ocon reclaiming a pit stop before the rain's truly problematic. It says multiple cars crash. Gasly has a penalty. That's Albon overtaking Ocon. That's the wrong highlight game. That's not what I wanted to see. But, you know, it's a nice overtake nonetheless. I want to see the Gasly Tsunoda. It just looked like Gasly going wide originally.
Now just keep your eyes on Gasly here.
Oh, so Gasly just turns in on Tsunoda. Yeah. So that shouldn't affect Tsunoda's confidence then, because he was the one hit. Maybe a little bit, but it depends on whether or not he's kind of being overtaken first. Hulkenberg's having a right old go there. Come on, Pierre, we're friends. Obviously now it's raining. Oh, hang on. Tsunoda's lost tyre from that. Tsunoda didn't even move. Is the weirdest part of all that. I mean, in the replay, Tsunoda's trajectory wasn't really affected by Pierre Gasly hitting him. So I don't know how he's lost 6% worth of tyres from Pierre hitting him in the side. If anything, I'd expect side pod damage if I was going to get anything out of it, but no issues apparently. We're still realistically 10 laps until we think it's probably going to be wet enough. Albon's putting a bit of a distance between him and Ocon, but DRS is obviously helping Ocon. That's Tsunoda and Hulkenberg in the far distance behind. Sainz up to 13. 5 people have pitted though. Oh no, only 4 people have pitted. Zhou Guanyu is just terrible apparently. No, to be fair, Zhou Guanyu's not that far back, but Sainz up to 13 on merit now though. Won't be long till he's joining this Tsunoda Hulkenberg. I mean, it's worth saying, even with that clock, he's got better tyres than Hulkenberg, and Sainz for that matter. Of course, locked up. But he's got the same tyres as Gasly's, roughly the same as Zhou Guanyu and Magnussen, Alonso, better than Stroll and Hamilton in the front. Only Norris is doing better on his tyres than Tsunoda, apart from Alex. I'm just letting him push a little bit harder before taking him off. Ocon's on 40% mediums now, so he's going to be close to really dropping off now. It does feel like the other medium runners are now possibly trying to hold on. So it looked like some committed to going on 2 tyres before it rained. 4 drivers, which hasn't really worked out for any of them. Piastri's kind of done the best of them, but he's only 10 seconds behind Tsunoda, thereabouts, 12 probably. Hoops was ahead of just when he actually did pit. So all told, Piastri is probably about 13 seconds back net on where he was when he pitted in the first place, because he was about a second ahead. But it hasn't worked out for literally anyone else, remotely. But Piastri's now ahead of Magnussen. Gasly must have front wing damage because he's dropping quite significantly. He's lost the right end plate. Albon and Ocon remain fighting. Hulkenberg's dropping off now as well for staying in DRS range, but not quite as challenging as he was before. I really want Ocon to fall off cliff-wise here, because 33% mediums should be gone surely. That's the other thing, actually, these people, medium runners. So either they pit and drop off because of the pit stop, Stroll ran wide. He's going to finally be out of Verstappen's DRS, I think. I think he genuinely held on. I don't know if he was holding on before that. I wasn't paying attention to the front. But now he will no longer have DRS. Alonso Leclerc might catch up. But Ocon's now officially under 30%. Russell's pitted, as has Ocon. That was genuinely the worst thing they could have done. Are they going to go on to intermediates? We are at 0.7, it is worth saying. So we're only about 0.1 under where it's actually faster to be on an intermediate from experience. Verstappen's coming in as well. They have gone on intermediates, so we'll get to see their lap times before we commit. All the other medium runners are coming in, I think. Notably, none of the hard runners are. So the medium runners are going, these mediums are getting a little sketchy. We'll have to go on the intermediates now. And I think they'll lose lap time. And of course, because the track's quite damp now, it's a little difficult to get the tyre temps in. So we're just going to have to blast these tyres on 5. Yes, Albon passes Verstappen on those mediums, on those intermediates. As does Tsunoda on. I think that kind of shows it really right now. It looks like Verstappen is harvesting and is obviously on brand new fresh intermediates, so they're not up to temperature. But Alex is faster than Max at this point, and Tsunoda's done the same to Hamilton. Yeah, into exactly the same place. But they were effectively forced into that decision because their mediums were going off anyway. So I think basically what they've done is they've sacrificed the lap time by going on to intermediates instead of sacrificing the lap time by being on the old mediums. But they will have the benefit of having up to temperature intermediates when everyone else goes on to it in probably 2 laps time, judging by the rate in which this is going up. Now, of course, Verstappen's got DRS on those intermediates as well still right now, so it's not truly representative. I need someone who's not in a DRS, which is nobody. Yeah, so Tsunoda cleared Hamilton and went 1 seconds ahead of Hamilton. It's now 0.8 though. Our drivers are far enough apart, aren't they? Yeah, they're about 7 seconds, 8 seconds apart. So this is the lap to do it. Alonso and Norris have gone. Because it's 0.8 now. Tsunoda gained 1.2 seconds on Hamilton, who he is slower than as a vehicle, and he's on the back of Leclerc. It's also worth shouting out how much fuel we've already saved just in these damp conditions. So this is the moment to switch over, because by the time we get out of these pits, it's going to be closer to 0.9 with Tsunoda in particular. But here comes Albon. Zhou Guanyu's come in. 1.9 in. Tsunoda not at all held up. He had a delay though. So basically Tsunoda's lost that second he gained, is effectively what's happened there. Still got another pit stop to make for the fastest pit stops, but Magnussen has yet to pit, as has Piastri off dries. So hang on. The leader interval to Piastri is one we kind of want to pay attention to here. So Piastri 33, 37 to, so 4 seconds ahead of Albon net, but he's stuck on Magnussen. Tsunoda's only 2 seconds behind Ocon now, who obviously came in for intermediates a lot earlier. And he was a lot further behind Ocon than he was. Because Alex was fighting Ocon, wasn't he? So that's really the gap that we've gained, is 7 seconds. But Albon, buddy old pal. Oh, he's actually not caught Magnussen. I thought he was making a hash of getting past Magnussen, but Magnussen's actually pitting now. Having just gifted him DRS, I think. Yeah, so that's worked out massively into Alex's favour. Into 9th he goes. So get these intermediates up to temperature. They'll last on a 5 push till the end of the race, but we don't need them to, because there will be some dry running at the end. In fact, I think that's drying up earlier as well. If this is just intermediate territory now, that is going to dry up around lap 57, 58, considering that's taken off their strategies for whatever reason. I don't know why. I think it was just because we were significantly ahead of schedule. Like I say, it had to be in the... Oh, actually, it was a little bit earlier, wasn't it? It was 33, 34, but we had to prepare for the worst case, and that was lap 40, wasn't it? So I thought it would be more likely to be in the 36 ballpark, so maybe it has come a couple laps earlier, just because it's drying up a couple laps earlier, so I think the whole thing may have shifted a little bit. Sight's still only 15th is concerning, because I've still got a feeling he's going to come through. But we'll just go as angry on these intermediates as we can sort of freely get away with, to sort of keep them within temperatures, particularly whilst it's not wet enough. I mean, the good news is no one's in... Well, DRS doesn't really matter anyway, surely, but we'll just prevent these tyres from melting as best we can while we wait for it to actually go over a millimetre. It's hovered on 0.98 for so long, it's kind of annoying. Yes, that flat bit, yeah. We just went so much slower on that lap for some reason. I mean, Hulkenberg hasn't gone any faster, but we just gone so much slower than Ocon for some unknown reason. I don't really know why that lap Ocon was so much faster than us. We just went a lot slower, but there we are, officially damp. That'll help tyre temperatures and probably actually allow us to fight push the whole stint. Yeah, Ocon's slow again now, or on par at the very least. Hulkenberg kind of threatened to get into range of Tsunoda. Not that DRS is a thing. Okay, those temperatures have just gone wild on our guys, so while Tsunoda's tucked in behind Ocon, we'll get those temperatures back down again. Just a tad of ERS harvesting there, just to keep things interesting. Yeah, the wet period is somewhat irritatingly not... I left a void curbs on Alex for too long there, I'm not gonna lie. And I left it off Tsunoda for too long there. Tsunoda's actually in a fight with Ocon now, remarkably. I mean, their intermediates are going to be worse than everyone else's, surely? No, they're not. It's not like I saved on them for too long there. I mean, I did with Alex by accident. I understand why Alex's would be higher, but Tsunoda's been off a void curves for the last 10 laps by accident. And these are only 1% worse than Alex's. So in theory, it's about 6 more laps of this, right? Yeah, so in theory, I think we've got about 6 more laps before it dries out. So we might as well just destroy the tyres, even if they are kind of overheating quite dramatically. Albon feels relatively comfortable in 9th now with a 10-second gap to Ocon, which nearly became a 0-second gap for Tsunoda there. Christ on a bike. I am harvesting on both drivers just to sort of... Well, I'm topping up anyway. You know, 5 laps will get us 1 MJ back, megajoule. I think that is because it's capital M. But I just want to have something to fight with if we end up in a fight, really. You know what? That kind of feels good for Alex. I think that feels good for Tsunoda as well. So whilst it dries out, maybe have a go at them. And we've actually got the entire fuel back pretty much. Having gone 2 laps under and then pushed off the start to, was it minus 3.5 kilograms? I think we got to in the end. We are about to lap Daniel Ricciardo, which feels a little bit depressing for Daniel Ricciardo, with Alex, just to be clear. Hi, Danny. This is your seat in real life, Daniel. I'm pretty certain you'd rather be in this one as well. Oh, Daniel. It's not gone well for him at Sauber, has it? Although, to be fair, I don't think it would go well for anyone at Sauber right now. Oh, I mean, I'd love to see what Max Verstappen would do in that Sauber, if he was even remotely capable of getting points. Alonso's second now overall, by the way, because he pitted well before Stroll did on the intermediates. Actually, I think he pitted 1 lap earlier than Stroll on the intermediates. I don't know what's happened here. Maybe it's just Alonso in the wet is the king on this circuit, maybe? I don't know, in this situation. Sainz still only 15th. He must have picked up like underfloor damage when he went off. There's no other explanation for it. He's not making progress. Because he doesn't have front wing damage, that's for sure. So there must be like invisible damage that we can't see. Yeah, so just melt these tyres now, lads. Tsunoda's in the fight for 10th. Albon well clear in 9th now. 11 seconds. So we're getting very close to dry territory as well, so we're about to have DRS active again. Gasly's coming now. I mean, that's a bold shout from Pierre Gasly. It will be dry officially by the time he comes out. I mean, we might as well put in the pit stop because we are past the pit lane, but there's no way in hell it's going to be dry enough for those dry tyres to really function just yet. And we might be able to prove that with Tsunoda because he's got Russell who's just pitted ahead of him. Come out 2 seconds ahead. By the time that we get round to the pit stop and then out of the pit box, it will definitely be dry. Okay, maybe we have got it wrong because Russell is driving away from us. But thankfully, Albon's in the pit now. Just at the point where I think he's actually faster to be on dries is 0.8. Anything above that is faster to be on the intermediates. I think Verstappen and Alonso have gone 1 lap further. But intrigued to see where Albon comes out ahead of Ocon here, because Ocon pitted first. I mean, still well clear. And Tsunoda having gone 1 lap further on the dries, he's ahead of Ocon now. Not by much. I think the first half of that lap was beneficial to Tsunoda. I think the second half was beneficial to the gentleman on the soft tyre already. Of course, DRS is not going to help Yuki there. I mean, your tyres aren't warmed up yet, Yuki. Don't worry about it, mate. Is that Daniel Ricciardo or is that the other Bottas? It's Bottas. He said, is that the other Bottas? Other Sauber. I was about to say, did Daniel Ricciardo unlap himself through the pits there somehow? No, we've just called the other Sauber. Russell got Hamilton because Hamilton stayed on the intermediates in dry conditions, like 1 lap longer. So 2 laps for Russell's sake. Probably like 1.5 realistically here, the advantage for, but should really pay attention to Tsunoda, shouldn't I? considering he's the one fighting right now. I mean, it's DRS assisted, but what isn't on this track, frankly? I mean, the animation's clumsy as hell, all that corner, but crucially behind the detection point as well, so he's had the DRS to power away from Ocon. I say away. I mean, we have gained on Hulkenberg, crucially though, who was getting a little bit close again towards the end of that wet stint. We'll just sort of manage that fuel, keep it on that borderline. There's only 11 laps to go. We can't go too crazy on it. This race is always about the minor points, because Norris is being ridiculous in 6th, and none of the front runners have decided to eject themselves from this race, so we're not in that fight yet. Realistically, it's worth saying, this has been set up. A 5 push will get you to the end at like 30% tyres. We will just be doing the same tried and tested thing of pushing them to the tyres are too hot officially, and then just saying, you know, avoid those curbs, lads. Get those temperatures back down again, and then, you know, flip-flopping between those two states. I think realistically that is the most time-optimizing strategy you can pull off here. Although, to be fair, right now, they're on a 5 push at 108 degrees, just slightly over that threshold, and doing all right, realistically, as Zhou Guanyu does the fastest lap. Max Verstappen does the fastest lap. That makes more sense. A full second faster than Zhou Guanyu is worth noting there as well. Zhou did a 105, and Max is just in a 104. Meanwhile, Albon's doing 105.9s. It's not worth using ERS on Tsunoda because Ocon will just get caught up again, because you have to make sure you clear a full second and then still be faster. So maybe 2 or 3 laps, just sort of get those temperatures back down again so that we can sort of push really dramatically in like the last 4 laps maybe. I say they've cooled right off now, so I'm going to be transparent about it. That's what I'm doing. Tsunoda's ahead, actually, as it so happens. Even having done that, that is a Sauber behind. Piastri's got Hulkenberg behind, so we've lapped Daniel, probably. Yeah, it's Daniel. There's a Ferrari behind on track. That's Sainz, isn't it? Of course, yes. I was just thinking, are we about to be lapped? But of course, Leclerc's nowhere near lapping us. It's quite amusing for Alex. He's like right on that same threshold he started this race with, because he's not really had anything to do for the last 40 laps since Ocon pitted to go on those intermediates a little bit early. Albon's had literally nothing to do other than to drive round to the best of his capabilities, whereas Tsunoda's actually had a fight on his hands with Ocon as a result of that. So 3 laps to go. We've got better soft tyres than everyone else. Slam those. Got a little bit of fuel on our tank, so we'll just leave that until we're on lap 70 maybe. Verstappen's just started it. I was about to say this is the first time we're not going to have two Red Bulls on the podium. But we didn't have 2 Red Bulls on the podium last time out, did we, either? Because Leclerc won it, but Hamilton was 3rd. We had a Red Bull 1 and 3, but I don't think we've had a Red Bull 1 and 4 yet. But yeah, last race, of course, we didn't. I mean, last race wasn't even a 1 and 4, it was a 2 and wherever the other one was. I think Perez was 7th, wasn't he? So Max Verstappen's about to start the last lap of the race. So I'm wondering where's like the sensible point to push Yuki Tsunoda's fuel from? He's got 81% battery right now. It's 100% from there, so I don't know if that's kind of the relevant point to really push that battery. I certainly feel like we can maybe push Alex's and just maybe try and nick that fastest lap if we can. He's only got plus 0.1. I don't think it's going to work out, but I think Yuki might catch Bottas by the end of this lap. A lot less lapped vehicles this time round. Might be because of the rain, but I still remember rightly, Austria year 1, we ended up being lapped up to like 7th or something stupid. So it does look like the field is narrowed as a whole, which is good for the, you know, the whole shebang. But yeah, Yuki pulling that gap out now, even with the DRS pull of Ocon because of that ERS deployment. How was Yuki still on 0.2 extra and Alex wasn't? Alex is probably about to run out of fuel on the outlap somewhere. I don't think any of them got fastest lap, but it was worth a punt. They were in the top 10, so would have been a bonus point. Oh yeah, speaking of the factory, I had to decline a survey into the structural integrity of our factory. Literally 2 weeks after the factory fire, I had another factory dilemma. Oh, we actually did gain places that could have done the incentive. 2 Aston Martins though. Red Bull on top of their home race, but 2 Aston Martins is quite nice to see. Lance Stroll is ridiculous in this game. I don't understand him. So clearly Carlos Sainz had an issue with his car when he went off the track initially, because he only got back up to 14th. And similarly, Pierre, once he thumped Yuki, never really got his car up to full working order again. He did have a missing end plate, but they can change front wings. So I'd have thought once they changed the front wing, that might have sorted itself out, but a little bit. And then the Alpine would have had enough pace to maybe get through at least Zhou Guanyu, I'd have thought. But oh well, Sergio Perez, obviously in a Red Bull there, recovers his oddly bad... Oh no, it was an oddly bad qualifying. He did qualify 5th and had a 10th place penalty. Still an oddly bad qualifying, actually, when you think about it. But Max, who qualified 6th, started 5th because of that penalty, ends up with the win. So Fernando back to 5th. It's a very tight little pack there, as it's now actually the Aston Martins and the Mercedes fighting one another, not our drivers. Yeah, okay, we've been put in our place again by the Aston Martins. I said that we weren't in that fight, and that's now showing. But Lando with good points is making things a little bit more interesting behind. Still 3 drivers without anything at all. And having been on the bottom 2 races to go, they are now 7th. Fighting for 6th, realistically, when you think about it. And it could actually be coming for us. long term, but we'll keep an eye on that one as Red Bull actually get a 1-2 there, which is closing their gap at the top. But realistically, design's complete. A relatively straightforward, sensible race from our drivers. Yuki was involved in an incident, but it was nothing to do with him, and we've failed the rear wing. Okay, we've got that. We've got spares of those, that's not an issue. Luckily, it appears there wasn't anything to worry about anyway. It's interesting that I've had the structural analysis thing twice, and I've denied it both times, and it's been fine both times. I'm slightly worried I'm going to get lulled into a false sense of security on this front. But, new ATR period, crucially. Let's get some designs in then. Okay, front wing rearing suspension to try and build on that minuscule one we had before, but also kind of the two parts we're running out of space of spare ones anyway, so we might as well get a new design and then manufacture those. I am slightly concerned by our lack of actual capabilities of developing anything, because this is really holding us back altogether, because we just don't have the funds for them. But there we go, Austria. Safe, sensible, not immensely exciting, I will admit, but apologies for that. I don't control the game engine, but for once, we've had a rainy session and we've not been mugged off by it. We've actually accurately gone at the right times onto the intermediates and then back off of them again. We've actually negotiated a rainy race for the first time properly, really, it's only taken a year and a half in game, so we got there, folks. We got there. We finally understand how that works in this year's game. Crikey. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal by now. Until next time, it's Great Britain. We're back at home. Until then, ta-ra.